In this video, I talk about half-orcs in Dungeons & Dragons. Welcome to my channel. I focus on tabletop role-playing games, video games, and science fiction. On page 245 of the Monster Manual, we read under Orc Crossbreeds. Luthic, the orc goddess of fertility and wife of Grunnermish, I can't pronounce that, demands the orcs procreate often and indiscriminately so that the orc hordes swell generation after generation. Now, if you've read the book, The Game of Thrones, actually it's the first book, The Game of Thrones, where it talks about the Dothraki, where you see how they raped and pillaged, basically. Or if you've read Enemy at the Gates, the book, there's a movie which doesn't cover as much as the book does, though it's an interesting film, not the greatest, but it's an interesting war film about World War II and Stalingrad. In the book, it talks about the priest trying to figure out how he's going to tell the nuns in the convent that every woman from age 6 to 70 that he's examined has been raped by the advancing Russian army. These are things that happen in war. War can be very brutal and is very common to have women raped. That's just the truth. So we take a look at half-orcs. Now, half-orcs are a crossbreed. They're a breed from between either a human, it talks about other human-sized things that they're called half-orc even if they're not human, which brings to question what other things that can they have. You have ogres that they can meet with, but that produces something else. But you have half-orcs are normally the combination between orcs and humans. Now, the player's handbook says that the half-orcs are normally the result of marriage. Well, I think that's just being, shall we say, polite, or in another term, politically correct, because using the term rape is not the most attractive term to use. But obviously that's where most of the half-orcs come from, is that they would come from the tribes worshiping their gods in increasing their progeny by going through there. That's what the line in the Monster Manual says about that the orcs procreate often and indiscriminately. And it doesn't imply willingly. So that's why my argument is that most half-orcs are probably the child of rape, because that would be their... It brings up the interesting discussion of, there's the classic painting, The Rape of the Sabine Woman, and it's the story of that. For those of you who want it always makes me smile, because I think of the line from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which is a humorous film. If you haven't seen it, I really enjoyed A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And you have Milos Gloriosus, who's the commanding general who is coming to purchase his bride, and he is talking to his chronicler, and he says, the Sabine campaign, when a boy becomes a man. And it's a humorous line if you know what it's talking about. And the Rape of the Sabine Woman, I'll leave for you to look up and study if you're interested. But this is where we would probably get most of the half-orcs. So these are probably undesirable children. Most people would not, a child of rape is one of those difficult questions. What do you do with children of rape? A lot of them ended up being abandoned, given away. So just like the half-elf, the half-orc is probably not welcome in most environments, because they're not the progeny, or they're not, shall we say, legitimate progeny They're worse than being a bastard, which is out of wedlock. They're both out of wedlock, and they're probably not by choice. So that's got to have an interesting impact on the character development if you're going to role play the Half-Orc. And if you're going to role play the Half-Orc, you really should look at what it says about orcs with regard to the worship of their gods, because if you're being brought up by the orcs, you're going to see them wanting to procreate often and indiscriminately. So marriage is something that Half-Orcs would look at kind of weird, because that's not part of their culture. And long-term relationships, they're not into monogamy. That's at least the way I read that. It'd be interesting to hear what other people think. Thank you. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all your comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down. I appreciate both forms of feedback. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, you can click on the icon on the left. If you're interested, there's more content on the right.